Welcome to Connected Leadership. I'm your host, Kimberly Dinville, the founder of Comet Leadership Development. My passion is helping others to develop their own leadership style and skills. Whether it's through one-on-one mentoring, writing, or speaking to groups of people, I love to discuss topics related to leadership and people management. We believe that anyone can be a leader, whether you're a people manager or not. We want to help you build the skills that help you connect and motivate people so they can reach their full potential. Thank you for joining us today, and let's dive in. Today we're going to talk about coaching, and in particular we're going to talk about those regular one-on-one meetings that all members of management should have with their staff. Now, I want you to start by raising your hand if you have ever said, I talk to my employees all the time. Or if your team members have ever said, I talk to my boss all the time. Now, keep your hand raised if that all the time is really more than once per month. Looking around? Good. So far, fair number of hands are raised. Let's take it a step further. Keep that hand up if these all the time meetings are scheduled and planned discussions. Yeah, a few of those went down. And what about scheduled, planned discussions with actions that are discussed and notes taken? Hey, there's still a fair number of hands raised, so good for you. Now for the big questions. Would your employees consider those discussions one-on-one time? It's easy for us to say that we talk to our employees all the time. Many of us do, in fact. I have had people on my team that I spoke with every single day. I made a point of saying good morning every morning. I would check in with them at midday, or I'd stop by their desk at random intervals just to see how things were going. I had senior managers that I would chat with over the computer every day. In our increasingly remote world, many of us rely on chat. And so we use that as kind of this, how are you doing, and talking to our team every day. And more days than not, something would come up that we would end up having a quick discussion on. But are these things one-on-one? Well, yes and no. Even if we happen to be the only two people in the room, those conversations are not always one-on-ones. So why is it that I'm not defining the types of interactions I just noted as, quote, one-on-ones? And how do I qualify something as a one-on-one employee session? Well, the questions noted above do go a long way towards those qualifications, but in general, I look at the following guidelines. First and foremost, the meeting is a pre-scheduled, dedicated time where the employee knows that this is their time with their manager, and the conversation is going to be focused on things that impact them. Second, the meeting time is only between the manager and employee, hence the phrase one-on-one. And it's a bi-directional discussion in an open environment. This is not a one-way conversation. Third, the meeting has a planned agenda, or at minimum, a standard rotation of topics that are commonly reviewed. Both the employee and the manager should contribute to the agenda. And this is an opportunity for both parties to talk about the things that are on their mind. And finally, there is a business objective involved. This could be a coaching, a mentoring, status review, team updates, or even just a check-in on the personal stress levels and coping with different business conditions. So those quick little, hi, how are you? First thing in the morning, as you're getting your coffee, you're walking past their desk. Yeah, that's not a one-on-one. There's no business outcome that comes from that. Your one-on-ones should cover a variety of topics. It should not always be the same thing every time you meet. If it is, there's probably a bigger problem going on, either from you as a manager or from the employee on doing the things that need to be done. It's fine to have recurring topics that are covered in nearly every one-on-one. How things are going, if there are metrics that need to be met, progress towards goals, or follow up on projects and initiatives. However, you should also make a point to have periodic check-ins on your team's personal state, or have sessions from time to time where you talk about their career plans, or hold one-on-ones where it's more about mentoring and growth and development. These sessions need to not only be about coaching or correcting or instruction, but they're also a place where you can form connections. They're a place where you can be that supportive leader for your team in a very personal one-on-one environment. Not to say that you shouldn't focus on whatever the current business fire drill is. Those things are important too. But it's also critical for you and your team member to sometimes take a step back and get more personal. So for one-on-ones, we have an agenda. We have an objective. We have a regular, scheduled, dedicated time. And for every one-on-one session that I hold, I keep notes religiously, maniacally, in-depth notes. Now, my note-taking during a normal standard business meeting, sometimes comes, sometimes goes. Depends on a number of factors. What the topic is, how much advance notice did I have, how long was the meeting, what was the duration, and whether or not I really had any personal contributions or takeaways. Heck, sometimes it's even just a matter of how focused I am on any given day. We all have days when we're distracted. But when it comes to one-on-ones, I never waver from taking notes. And I instruct any leader who reports to me to take notes during their sessions with their team members as well. If it's a newer manager, I even take the time to review their one-on-one notes so I can get a feel for how they're doing and give them some tips and guidance to aid in their note-taking in the future and aid in their one-on-one meetings in the future without creating an awkwardness with their direct reports that the boss person is watching. The content and format of these notes may change, but typically there is a structure that I have for myself and for my team. First up, the agenda, keeping track of the topics for discussion that are either raised by me or by my team members. Not only do I keep track of the topics, but any notes around statements that are made, thoughts, discussions. In other words, what did we talk about? I log nearly everything in the event that I need to remember something about the discussion, or in the event of recurring discussions, the dates and times that they have taken place. There's so much information coming at us on a daily basis. You cannot rely on your brain to remember what was said or what felt important at the time. Something that may seem insignificant to you may be very important to your team. I also keep track of actions or any commitments. So what needs to be done following the meeting? We don't frequently take action during the meeting because we're busy talking about what needs to be done. So what follow-up needs to be done? Do I have other team members that need to be engaged? Are there things that I am personally offering to my team? Or, conversely, are there things that I need my team members to do? Are there commitments that I need from them around taking action, following a process, a procedure, or some other guidance that was given to them. And then finally, I also follow up on these notes. This follow-up section is post-meeting. So in other words, if I made a commitment to someone, did I follow through? I keep track in my one-on-one notes of the date, time, and what I did to follow through on my commitments. At the same time, if I asked for my team member to do something, or if I asked them to start following a practice, did they do it? Do I have observations of them doing or not doing something? Is there anything that I need to or can document to help support future discussions? The thing about these notes is not only do they help you keep track of what was discussed during your one-on-one meetings, but they can be invaluable when you're trying to write a performance review. Or if you ever need to take a corrective action, we hope we don't need to. But if you do, these notes can be easily packaged and supplied to an HR department, your upstream manager, or any others that may require them. So in a nutshell, pre-plan your one-on-ones. Have an agenda. Let your employee know that this is their dedicated time. And keep to it. Follow through. Keep notes. All of these things together help you form a basis for having really solid one-on-one conversations. Am I always good about following all of these things in every single one-on-one with my employees? Particularly the bit around agendas and predefined discussions? No, I admit it. I'm not a perfect manager, and I don't aim for perfect. I will say that I'm very, very structured about certain things. My team members always have, at minimum, bi-weekly meetings scheduled in my calendar. Now, sometimes they're weekly if there's something going on or if they need the extra support. But usually, I find bi-weekly satisfies most of the needs that are out there. My one-on-ones are always documented. The level of detail sometimes comes and goes a bit. If it's just a lighthearted discussion, or more of a personal check-in, how are things going outside of work, I may be a little light on what I record. But there's always a record that we had a talk. If I have to reschedule, if I have to move the time of the one-on-one, I apologize to my staff. I let them know I still want to meet. This is not diminishing their importance to me. Sometimes conflicts come up. If I have a rare occasion where I have no choice but to cancel the one-on-one, I will ask them if they want me to schedule an alternate time, even if it's outside of my normal working hours. After all, this is their time. This is for them. And you know what? Sometimes, depending on the state of discussions, I may completely throw out whatever I had planned. Maybe I had planned on following up from a different week. Maybe I planned on just doing a status check-in, but the employee brought something to me that was more important. So you need to be flexible to your employees' needs. I've had meetings where I had an agenda, I had everything planned and ready to go, and I threw it all out the window because the very first words from my staff were, "Boss, it's been a hard day." So no, I'm not always super regimented, and I have things that I would want to improve on if I want to reach towards my ideal of what leadership would look like. But as I said before, when we're talking about perfection, just aim for that little bit better. And these are my little bit better. The key thing I want everyone to take away from this is It is important. It is so important to your staff that you take the time for them and that you have a structure behind that time. Don't just rely on, I meet with my staff all the time. There's so much more to a good management one-on-one than simply taking the time to say hello. That's all for this episode. Thank you for joining in and listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you can be alerted when the next episode comes out. If you want to get more detail on today's topic, or you want to check out our other material, please visit us at cometleadership.com. You'll find a series of articles, templates, and training material. You can also email me directly at kimberly@cometleadership.com. Thanks for listening and have a fantastic day.